Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Or if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the Unstoppable Mumpreneurs Telesummit. And we have another fantastic mumpreneur expert joining us here today. Her name is Christy Largent, and this is a super amazing woman. I'll tell you a bit more about Christy here, and as we go through the questions that Christy will answer for us, you're going to learn even more about her. So Christy is an opportunity expert focused in the areas of opportunity mindset, love that, and in employee engagement. Her clients would tell you she's obsessed with helping people maximize opportunities so they can perform at higher levels altogether at work and at home. She has a diverse background, having worked both in the US and internationally. Christy works with organizations who want practical skills to reframe their mindsets so they can overcome obstacles, increase productivity, and encourage employees with a positive, engaged culture. Now, Christy is the co-host of the PBS TV show, The Forum. She has a podcast, Encouraging Words for Working Moms, and is the author of the best-selling book, 31 Positive Communication Skills for Women. Love that. Love that. Now, when she isn't speaking or coaching clients, you can find Christy sneaking a workout or a quick lunch with her husband in between chauffeuring her two school-age kids to and from lacrosse and tennis practices. Yeah, we know what that feels like too. Thank you so much, Christy, for joining us here. Welcome.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me, Cheryl. I'm so excited to be a part of this summit.
I'm totally excited to have you join us as well, that you're a part. Thank you for accepting. Great.
Sure.
Great. So, just rolling into our questions here. Can you tell us a bit more about your kids, about your entrepreneurial journey, how long you've been doing coaching, and what actually got you into starting business of your own in the first place?
Well, I've always been entrepreneurial. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My parents had a number of different businesses growing up. I grew up both here in California and in Virginia, in DC area, and did college back there. And I graduated with a political science and communications degree.
Okay.
It was, the 80s.
Yes, yes.
And I was in DC, and it was just an exciting time to be in the middle of all that. I love politics. I know I'm an anomaly. I don't talk about politics from the platform, but that's just a little inside skinny. I love them. So
okay, that's all right.
But, my first career was actually after college. My parents had moved to Ohio, and I missed my siblings, so I moved back to Ohio, and I promptly became a realtor. Which makes no sense, except that was sort of my family business. So after 1 year with one listing and one sale, I knew I needed a new career.
Okay.
So I ended up moving to Palm Desert, California, which is where my grandmother was, down in the Palm Springs area. And I ended up doing interior design. You know how life is so funny that way. You just like go from one thing to another sometimes.
Yeah.
But I wound up taking classes and moving into the interior design field. And that's what I did for 14 years.
Okay.
I worked for a couple companies, and then I had my own business for a number of years. And then worked in Palm Desert, then ended up divorcing and moving. That's when I went to Europe and taught English for a year in Hungary, which was fabulous. Love the Hungarians. And it was easy to get a job teaching English because I'm fluent in English, right? So I did that, and then came back to Scottsdale, went back to design for a couple years, and ended up in Dallas. And by this time I was pushing 40. I was single, no kids, and I just thought, there is more to my life than buying, $20,000 sofas for my clients. And so I really started looking for other things. And that's when I went back to what do I really love, which I love speaking and teaching. And so I ended up getting certified in the personality styles, how people get along with each other, how they can get along better. And I started doing it for free wherever I could, teaching that material, and it resonated with people. And so this led to really thinking, gosh, I could do this as a career. And so ended up leaving Dallas, coming back to this small town Reading where I live now. It's gorgeous. We're surrounded with mountains and lakes and a great outdoor lifestyle and just a very peaceful community. And I thought, and so I started doing more and more speaking, ended up meeting my now husband. And so I morphed kind of from 2000 until 2004. I transitioned from interior design business to full-time speaking business. I got to speak all over the United States. Oh my gosh, well over, I can't even imagine how many, I mean, in the thousands of presentations over that time period, thousands and thousands of hours. And so in 2004, though, something happened, Cheryl, and as much as I was loving my career, I had always wanted to be a mom. And so my husband and I went to China at Christmas and came home with a baby. And so December of 2004, we adopted my daughter, Amelia. And then in 2008, we went back and got my son, Graham. And, you know, after I got Amelia, I really wanted to switch gears because I was traveling, 3 to 4 weeks a month. And I just did not want to have to keep doing that. So I stepped back from speaking, ended up working with my own home-based business for a while in personal care products. Sorry, I'm hot. It's hot here in California right now.
Yeah, I can't say the same thing in the UK right now, but
take my sweater off. I'm sorry. Plus, I'm middle-aged. Anyone in their 40s and over knows.
Yeah, I tell you,
certain things happen, people.
Absolutely. I'm a woman of that particular age range myself.
Certain things happen. So anyway, I was home doing that business. And then about 3 years ago, I said, you know what? My kids are older. I really miss speaking. This is my giftedness. And that's kind of what we'll talk about later. Is how do you know which direction to go and how do you get started? And basically I just said, what do I love doing? What was I made to do? And that's when I really started going back into the speaking business. And so now for the past 3 years, that's where I've been.
Right. God, that's a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey.
Well, it's not typical, that's for sure.
Well, those make the more interesting ones as well.
It's worked for me.
Yeah. And I love your story about your children, and thank you for sharing that. And your children coming around, and just as they do, they change everything.
You're not kidding.
They change the landscape. Yeah. Lovely. Thank you. So, early days of starting out in your business, your very first business. So we heard about the real estate one, and that sort of had you transition then into interior design, and you were doing that for 14 years. What were some of the challenges that you came across in the early days of starting your own business, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, well, with design, it was really natural because I just moved. I was involved in my community. I had a big connection base. So I really worked by referrals. I really had no troubles in those days with the design world. And then, but I have to say, thinking about like the challenges as I've gone back into speaking, the difference between speaking in 2000 and speaking now in 2016 is night and day, right? Because the world has shifted thanks to the online world.
Yes.
So, restarting that speaking business, if you will, I had continued it just, in my small community, but restarting it, moving out of my community, it was really hard for me to say, okay, who is my target market? Where is my focus? I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when we start, we're not really targeted on who is it that I want to serve. And so often I hear people say, oh, I just want to help everybody.
Yes.
Well, of course, we want to help everybody, but the bottom line is if you aim for everybody, you're going to hit nobody. Right? So for me, really figuring out who is my target customer. As a speaker, I kind of have two. I have the meeting planners and the event planners who would hire me, and the business owners. But then I also have the people who come to my events, who are the attendees. And those I really love targeting with the women, because I think being especially a working mom, a really different dynamic than say a senior executive male. Very, very different dynamic. So once I got more targeted on that, I think that helped. Help me move forward.
Yes. I think you spoke to something quite very, 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 very important there for a lot of us, because we're nurturers and we're carers by nature for the most part, most of us women, and we want to help everybody, whether or not we're in business. We just want to give of ourselves completely, and well, that's fine, but we've got to target it. If we wish to remain in this business and thrive in business, it's got to become targeted. Because what you said there, you can aim to serve everyone and you'll be serving no one. Aim to speak to everyone, you'll be speaking to no one in the end.
Right. And really, you hear this a lot, especially in the online world. The riches are in the niches. And really digging down and saying, where can I be of best service with my unique gifts and talents, with my background, with my experience? Who can I serve most effectively? And then digging in to really, really meet their needs and figure out, what do they need from me and how can I meet their needs?
And that requires some drilling down, doesn't it? Because as women, and I firmly believe, especially as mompreneurs, because as moms we take on other roles, don't we? And all those roles get layered and layered and layered very thickly over who we really are. So many of us have lost touch with who we really are at heart, who we really are
absolutely.
At core, and
absolutely
what we really want to do.
Right. I hear that so often, Cheryl, you wouldn't believe it, that women, especially women, they're like, well, gosh, it's been so long since I really thought about what I wanted or what I'm good at. And one exercise that I do when I'm teaching a program on kind of refocusing and getting really laser targeted on doing your best work is going back and saying, what did you absolutely love from say ages, 10 even, as low as 10 up to about 20? What did you love? What did you love spending time doing? What were you good at? What was easy for you? Because I find so often we move ourselves in directions that are not easy for us. Like my mom is a great example. When she went to college, she was named her college herself. She was the first one in her family to go to college. This was in Dallas, Texas. And she went to SMU and she wanted to study Spanish because languages were super easy for her. She really loved it. She loved the idea of travel. But her dad ended up getting sick, and she went to visit him in the hospital, and he said they were just making small talk. And he said, so what are you studying? What are you working on now? She said, well, I've been taking chemistry and I'm working really hard. And he said to her, oh, babe, that chemistry, now that's something. That Spanish, that ain't anything. And so she actually switched her major from Spanish to chemistry because one random kind of off the wall conversation and it changed her trajectory. I mean, I think she's done very well regardless, but I do think that oftentimes we find ourselves getting shifted from our true passion based on input from other people, which may or may not be accurate. Just because someone tells you something doesn't mean it's true.
Absolutely, especially where your passion and your purpose is concerned. I really do believe you're the only one who knows those answers. Those answers. People, others, especially if they're well-meaning, can help guide you, because a lot of us, I think most of us, can't readily tap into and access those answers. And so we require some guidance. But I think outside of that, we're the best ones to access those answers and know what it is we're really here to do. And I think one of the things that hold us back as well is this fear of people saying, well, you're selfish and, and all those other bits, because again, we are pleasers. We are pleasers.
We tend to be,
We tend to be. Lovely. Thank you for talking so awesomely to that. All right. So you've been an entrepreneur pretty much most or all of your adult life, and recently you've gone back to speaking again. 3 years, quite a bit of experience in those 3 years. What would you say are some of the challenges that still present themselves for you? And
Uh,
how do you manage them?
oh, I love that question because I am like struggling with it today as I was working this morning before this conversation. It is technology, to be honest. I tend in the past, and be sure I'm phrasing this correctly, in the past, technology has not been a strong suit for me. So I've found that I really have had to think outside of my typical thinking style to get some stuff done. And the other thing, we live in a small town and resources are somewhat limited locally. So I've had to utilize some online stuff, which brings its own kind of scary thing. Like I've actually had amazing help from people in Bangladesh and India on Upwork, which is a great resource for people.
The second mention of Upwork on this Telesummit. Yes.
Oh, good. Well, it's really, it's wonderful and it's affordable for me. It's affordable. And then I've tried to get help that way. It's just that it's always scary to try something for the first time, right?
Of course,
and I have to have the little talk to myself, like, you're a smart girl, Christy. You can learn new things.
Yeah.
You can find out about this. Quit saying I can't figure it out or I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Start saying, I'm a smart girl.
Yeah.
And I can figure this out. I figured other things out in the past. I'm sure I can figure this out. And if I can't, I think I can get help. And quite honestly, with YouTube, holy cow, just about anything that you need, you can find a video on it.
Absolutely. It is a phenomenal resource. I don't remember it often enough. And I hear what you say around tech. For me, I'm not so much afraid of it as it consumes a lot of my time. It's not something that I can do in 5-10 minutes. It is not my strong suit either that way.
Right.
So where I can, I try to get help from it. And I've had, generous friends and friends' husbands who can help out sometimes. But, there's like Fiverr is another one that's absolutely superb, and Upwork, I'll look into that as well.
I just got this past weekend, I needed my new opportunity mindset program. I needed a kind of a logo. I kept thinking I want something that I can use, I could put on the back of a screen. So for YouTube videos, I just need a little logo of some sort. And so I actually just went on Fiverr. I paid $11 US for this logo, and I'm so tickled with it. It's the first one I didn't like, and I thought, oh shoot, I just wasted $11. And then I responded to him. I said, I'm not really crazy about this and this. And doggone if he didn't come back with one I really liked. I mean, I probably could have spent thousands of dollars and many hours to come up with something probably better. But I think and being good enough is another one of those things that I've had to learn. Okay, I can't wait for perfection. Or I'm just going to be sitting here a year from now. I have to just be willing to launch, right? And Fiverr was that great resource for really reasonable. I was really happy with that, with the logo. So, for our viewers, when they download the freebie, they'll see it on there.
Fantastic. So. Yeah, you're going to talk some more about that as well.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you raised that point about being good enough, because it's another piece that really, really holds us back, keeps us down. A lot of us women, this whole myth around perfectionism. And I don't say that to be unkind at all. It's one of those pieces that have been, it's been peddled to us, and we've bought into it lock, stock and barrel, and it doesn't serve us at all. It really doesn't. Good enough is get started and tweak it along the way.
Yes. And that's what every single successful person will tell you. Just get started. Now, there's two sides to the coin, because on one hand, you want it to be good enough that when you move out with it, you add value to people.
Of course. And so, there's no compromising that side.
The logo, I mean, that's a minor detail. What's important is the content. Right? So it needs to be good enough. And as it grows and develops, you'll tweak it. At the same time, I was at a seminar a couple weeks ago, and we had a panel of speaker bureaus people, and they were saying, don't waste your first impression. right? Like if your website's not up to snuff and your demo video is not up to snuff, don't reach out to someone that's an important connection for you kind of until you've got something that you're proud of. Because if you're not setting yourself up to where you want to be, don't ruin that first impression. So it's the catch-22. You have to be good enough to be seen as the professional that you are.
Most definitely.
But you can't wait for it to be absolutely perfect because it never will be. When I launched my website, which has been, oh my goodness, maybe 2.5 years ago now, I thought it was okay. I was fine with it. It wasn't perfect. I had to say, Christy, just do it. And you can learn and grow along the way.
Absolutely.
So, and I find that the number one obstacles that so many women, especially women, entrepreneurs have, is that they just don't see what they're offering as value. They think, well, my gosh, it's so easy for me. How can this be of value? Anyone can do this. The reality is anyone cannot do it. You have a uniqueness that's only you, that only you can do, and that you can share with others. So don't devalue yourself. I think I see especially women, they're like, well, I just I went to this past weekend, I was at another conference with, we brought in a guy, I sing in the choir, and we brought in a guy from Nashville to work with us. And when I was meeting him, he said, so, what do you do in this music world? And I said, oh, I just sing and play the flute a little and a lot. I do play the flute. And he's like, oh, no. You don't just sing. And of course, I was saying this to a singer who's like this professional singer on all albums and everything. But so for him, singing is not just something, right?
No.
But in my mind, it's something I've always done. It's easy for me, yada, yada. So I was like, even though I know this, I still catch myself saying, oh, it's, kind of minimizing the value that I bring.
And we do. And we do. And again, coming from, don't trumpet blow your own horn or shout it on the mountain. All those sorts of messages we have learned to sort of dampen any exuberance we have about ourselves. And it's a bit of a shame, really. But no, thank you for highlighting that piece as well. So I think you've touched on this one now through several of the responses you have given so far. But speaking specifically to this question, what would you say is the number one obstacle that get in the way of most mompreneurs, and how would you suggest they manage that?
Well, the thing I hear over and over, especially from women, is I just don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. Especially for moms who've been home, or even they're working for somebody else and they're not really thrilled with where they're working and they really want to branch out on their own.
Yes.
And they just don't, either they don't see what they know as valuable, or they don't think what they have could really help other people. This just happened this weekend. Can I give you a little story?
Sure, please do.
I'm thinking stories. So
yeah, go on. That's fine.
We remodeled our backyard this past summer, and it took a tremendous amount of time and energy and focus from me. And we're in an old house. It's 70 years old and it needs to be updated, and we need to redo our kitchen and family room area. But I foresee even more of a drain on my time and energy. And I told my husband, I just cannot do this on my own. I need somebody to help. Well, problem is where we live, the help is limited. There's just, and coming from a design background, I'm kind of picky about people that I want to help. Like, there's not that many, I hate to say this, but there's not that many talented designers here in town, but there is an amazing girlfriend of mine who is more talented than many professional designers I've met. But she works at a beauty supply and, selling cosmetics and hair. And I'm like, okay, so our daughters are friends. I took her daughter home on Friday afternoon and I said, I want to run something by you. I would love for you to be the project manager for me on this kitchen remodel. Now, she's never done anything like this. And she had just spent about 20 minutes complaining to me about how much she hates her job. Okay. Think about that.
Okay, yeah.
So it was like ripe. The timing was right.
Absolutely.
So talented. First, I want you to do my house for fall, and I'll give you a budget and I'll pay you for this. And then secondly, I want you to think about, will you do the project manager job for me? And really oversee making this kitchen remodel happen.
Mm.
And she's like, oh, she's like so not sure that she could do it.
Mm.
And I'm like, you are so good at this. Like, I want you to believe my belief. Take my belief, because you are amazing. She's an amazing designer. She's able to do it on a shoestring, which is another, I mean, give me a nice big fat budget and plenty of time, I could do anything, right?
Okay,
Trying to do it on a shoestring, making it work for a reasonable amount of money. She's awesome at it, but she doesn't see it. And this is the same thing over and over. I'm like, you know what? I will totally help you. You could work with realtors. You could make in one day what you make in a whole week of working on your feet at that beauty supply by your expertise. You pay for expertise. And I said, I have all these marketing ideas. I could help you. I will be happy to help you. Now, I hope she takes me up on it.
I hope so. Has she?
But I hope she will, because see, all of us are missing out by her not doing her calling.
Absolutely. Does she have any formal training in this area at all?
No, and she doesn't need it.
There we go.
It's amazing.
And that's the point I want to raise.
I mean, seriously, her home could come in and be a model shoot for a home magazine.
There we go.
Or blog.
There we go. Because the other holdback for many of us women is the qualification piece.
Absolutely.
I have been, I'll raise both hands, to that as well. It is the truth. We feel, well, we need this qualification, that qualification, and it's a form of sometimes procrastination to really get on with the job.
I'll do it after I get my degree.
Yeah,
or I'll do it after
absolutely.
Well, I think if you have that expertise and people are coming to you saying, can you help me with this? You need to perk up your ears and listen.
Absolutely.
Because they're not going to be just telling you that for no reason.
But don't you think, Christy, sometimes there is just so much, verbal wax, between our ears.
Yes.
Our verbal wax, other people's verbal wax, that we can't really listen. We can't hear what's being said.
Yeah, I agree. And that's part of why this whole opportunity mindset program that I've been teaching has been so well received.
Yes.
Because we all struggle with this.
Of course.
Every single one of us.
That's absolutely. Awesome. Great. So, do you believe, based on your experience today, do you believe that any mompreneur can become holistically, I've been emphasizing that, holistically successful?
Absolutely.
As an entrepreneur.
100%. I mean, I say that so quickly. I think you have to, first of all, it has to be something somebody wants. Okay. So if you're really good at, I don't know, macrame doilies, that's great. Have you checked to see if anybody wants to buy them? Because you may be really good at it, but if no one wants to buy them, you're going to, it's a hobby, then it's a hobby. But if you are doing something that you really love and enjoy, and there are people who are willing to pay for it, I mean, there's so many ways you can test that market. You can set up an Etsy store for free, etssy.com, and test it and see if anyone will buy it. You can post a picture on your Facebook page and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing these. What do you guys think? I mean, there's so many simple ways to test it. But yeah, if it's something people want and you want to do it, I don't see why not. Absolutely.
Good one. Thank you. We've had differing opinions on this. We've had, I was saying earlier, we've had experts who've said absolutely not. No. I've had experts who believe, well, yes and no. And I've had, like yourself, experts who said yes, followed always by a but. Right. And yes, and that's fine. That is fine. I think it's a very important but, because it is not, and you and I may have had this conversation, our first chat, it is not as easy as the industry and so many, not all of them, not even the majority, but a lot of the super guru coaches would make this out to be. There is work involved, and you really got to want this and have a big compelling why. to stick it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. So, excuse me, as a mom running, your own business, your kids how old are your kids now, Christy?
Amelia is 12, so she's in
Mhm.
7th grade, and Graham is 9.
12
So
and
he's a
9.
4th grader. Yeah.
Great, great,
Yeah.
great. So, which do you, when you look at, the juggle, kids and business and home and community involvement and commitments, which do you veer more towards? Is that creating that work-life balance, or is it a blend? Which is it for you?
Oh, definitely a blend. Because I
Mm.
think what is the definition of balance is putting the right attention on the right thing at the right time.
Mhm.
So think about that. A good definition, especially for moms, of balance is putting the right attention on the right thing at the right time. And my friend Mona Corwin gave me that. She's the balanced mom life. And I think she definitely has lived this in her life. And I've learned from her that, yeah, I can be fully focused on my work
Mhm.
and do it wholeheartedly. And then the balance is when my kids get home from school, I can focus wholeheartedly on helping them with their homework, getting them a snack, getting dinner fixed. And so I don't know that it's really like even Steven. I think it's just a
Mhm.
blend. It's definitely the blend. I know my daughter has been to so many of my speaking programs that
Yeah.
because for a variety of reasons,
Yeah.
that she can practically teach some of the stuff I teach
There we go.
because she's heard it so much. So it's definitely the blend. Yeah.
Okay, great. And having mentioned taking your daughter to several of your speaking engagements, what impact do you think being a mompreneur has had on your children?
It has really impacted them. And when Amelia was 4, I was trying to earn this trip to Cancun with
Mhm.
Arbonne, with the company I was with at the time, and
Mhm.
or that I was repping at the time,
Yes.
and they were giving away this trip. So I was working, and then I'm like, oh, forget it. I'm too far away. I said, I just can't make it. I only have 1 more month, and I'm just not going to make it. And Amelia was 4 years old, and she said, oh, Mama, don't give up on your dream.
Oh, that's
And I was
precious.
like, okay, I'm going to earn this dadgum trip. And I did.
And you
And it
did.
was
Fantastic.
amazing. Yeah, we went every trip, every year after that, because I knew those little eyes are watching.
Yeah, they are. They
Honestly,
are. They are.
I um
Mm.
I started having less and less success with that business, and that was part of the reason that I went back to speaking, because I said I do not want to model setting goals and not hitting them for my children anymore. I have to
Mm.
be doing something where I'm able to set a goal and hit it, because they see
Mm.
it. They know the goals. We talk about them. They're posted, and it's important that and it was important for them to see me make a redirection as
Yes.
well, because
Yes.
in life sometimes things don't work,
It'll be
and it's
flexible.
so
Yeah.
bad. It's just that it's not working, so let's find something else that does work.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, you spoke to a quite critical piece there. I do believe that that's come up several times in this Telesummit series. Our kids are watching us, and they are learning. And even if
Yeah.
we've had moms on here, mompreneurs with children of different age ranges, from quite young to university age or even older. And the kids, I think everyone said, their kids are different. And in some cases, especially the teenagers, they seem, very detached from what you
Right.
might be doing sometimes. But there's always a story to tell of, what they've done or what they are doing as entrepreneurs, having some sort of resonance, some sort of impact with their children.
Mhm.
How can it not?
Exactly.
Can it not?
Exactly.
Yes, everything
Just
else we
if
do
you
does. So,
everything we do, if you are the
mm,
type that comes home at 5 and turns on the TV and doesn't move until 11, your kids know
mm,
it, right?
absolutely.
So they're watching.
Absolutely.
And we know from studies that the apples really don't fall far from the trees.
Mm.
So if you want children to work hard, then you better be working hard.
Yeah, you've got to model that. You've got
Yeah.
to model that. And the same for resilience. If you want your children to be resilient, you've got to model that.
Yeah,
We had,
absolutely.
one of the amazing experts on the show talk about, her children seeing her cry when she's having her business frustrations, but they also see and they all celebrate together her
Right.
business successes. And
Right.
it's going, it's like that. Fantastic. Great. So we're on to our final question.
Okay.
What would you say, Christy? The number one habit, the number one strategy, and the number one insider secret that's been responsible, has helped hugely in you achieving the success you now have, and in sustaining that success as well. If you wanted to start, say, with the habit, or whichever one you want to start with, really.
Okay, so the habit, I am not, well, let me rephrase this. You're going to see the habit in action. I was getting ready to say I'm not a habit person, but I did. My number one thing that I do and that I've learned to do and that I repeatedly do, so we can call it a habit, I guess, is that I reframe things positively. I do not let myself say things negative. For example, I thought of a couple examples would be like, oh, don't ask me to add that up. I'm horrible at math. Have you ever heard that? Yeah. So I don't ever say that. I say, you know what? And if I catch myself, like I just did with the habit, I'm not a habit person. Well, in the past, let's see, naturally I'm not a habit person, but what I've learned is that habits are so helpful. So I'm learning how to do habits in my life.
Yes.
That's reframing. I'm not a math person. I say, you know what? Well, I was in school, math was not my best subject, but I've learned to do math so that I'm able to get along with what I need to get done.
There we go.
And then I would say something like, I'm always late. That's another one. Oh, I'm always late. You know what? In the past, I might have been late, but I'm really working on being on time these days.
Yes.
You hear the difference? So that habit of reframing is huge, huge, huge. So that's like I did just say that, right? My habit of reframing, because I really have, and people who know me, my friends and family, people close to me, they hear it and they see it and they hear me say to them, oh, what you mean is when they say a negative statement about themselves, I help them reframe it. We don't want to give ourselves any more negative.
Absolutely. And
so you have to catch it. And I grew up really saying hateful, horrible things to myself in the mirror every day. And I don't do that anymore. And I just have learned the power of reframing. Okay. So that's a habit. Okay. Strategy. Okay. Strategy I recommend that I do is you surround yourself with people who either you want to be like or who lift you up and make you better, a better version of yourself.
Oh, I love that.
So it's really surrounding yourself with the right people. And sometimes it's kind of convicting because you're like, oh man, I'm around all these negaholics, or I'm around these people who always say how bad things are, or they tell me I can't do stuff. Stop. Find ways to get yourself around people who will support you and engage you. So if that's a mastermind, great. If that is listening to a podcast that you absolutely love every day. I mean, I don't care what you have to do. There are plenty of resources that will give you the ability to be around people who will lift you up and help you move forward.
Absolutely.
So that's my strategy, is I really try to surround myself with people basically who are better than I am. Like if you go snow skiing or play tennis, you want to play with people who are better than you.
Yes, of course.
Because it brings your level up.
That's how you get there. That's how you reach your own game. I totally agree.
Yeah. So, okay. So my habit is the reframing. My strategy is around people.
Yeah.
And then the third, insider secret. Okay. I'm looking at what I wrote down here.
That's fine.
All right. Okay. Force yourself to be uncomfortable.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's a secret, but it feels like I feel like I'm getting uncomfortable almost every day. To tell you the truth. Because there's been so many things that I don't know the answer to when I think, oh, I want to do that, and I have no idea how I'm going to do it. And so in order to grow, you have to get outside that comfort zone. And we know the comfort zone is a box, right? And out here is all the good stuff. So we want to pull ourselves out. And the only way you do that is to be uncomfortable. So I tell it to my kids all the time, and I try to live it. And that's that insider secret. I don't know if it is a secret or not, but I really I have a lot of friends, or I have some friends and people, acquaintances, who want something different than they currently have. And we know the only way you get something different than you currently have is to do something differently than you're currently doing.
Absolutely.
And that means you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. And my girlfriend, I mentioned earlier that I want to help her do the design.
Yes.
That, I believe, has been her biggest holdup, is she is so afraid to step out and do. I mean, you have to say, what's the worst that could happen?
Absolutely.
Right? So like I say, hey, I'm available for consultations. Nobody takes you up on it. Well, what's the biggie? No big deal, right? But we build these things up, and I especially see women do this. You got,
yes,
why do we do this?
Yeah.
We turn it into some big, huge thing. I'm like, okay, so what if I make what if I have a bad link on my website? Okay, big deal. I can fix it. We'll find somebody to fix it, right? Or what if I forget to send a thank you note when I get there? Okay, I can send the thank you note a week late, right? There's so many things in our life. We just have to do it and do it scared. Get out of that comfort zone. And that's how you're really going to see yourself grow.
Yeah. Just feel the fear and do it anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, what you just said there, Christy, echoes the primary reason why I decided to pull together this Telesummit. And you and I have spoken about that. And it was to challenge the prevailing thinking and thought among a lot of us women, especially a lot of us mompreneurs, when it comes to taking action either to start a business or to take that other step in our business, regardless of where we might be in that particular continuum. And I really felt that, for one, the extent that I wanted to impact that mission, I'll be bold enough to call it a mission, was an impact that was an extent that was beyond what I alone could do. And I thought, what a better way to do it than to pull together 22 just super amazing mompreneurs to present as evidence, because I'm a big believer in presenting the evidence. Okay, you believe this about yourself, what you can't do, what you are not. Where is the evidence that supports it? Right. So here is evidence to the contrary. Women who have been where you are, women who have been sub where you are, and who have still done it. And you can, the message being, you can too.
Right.
It may very well be a different journey, but you can too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you for those really nugget-filled answers. Truly precious. Thank you. Now, thank you. So you're at the end of your questions here. You've provided all the truly juicy answers. You have a free gift that you would like to tell our listeners about.
I do. Yes, I'm so excited about this because I've been wanting to do it, and this was like an incentive for me to get them done. So see these little cards? It's probably reading backwards.
No, it's fine. You can read them.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
These are opportunity mindset cards. I call them my opportunity mindset reset cards because we know what we put in is what comes out and what we live out. And so I'm going to give you guys for everyone who wants it, a set of 31 opportunity mindset reset cards. So every day you can look at a different card. Like this one says, I love taking advantage of every opportunity. It's just a simple statement that will really help you live in the opportunity mindset and refocus, reframe on what's important. What's another one? I can find the good in any and every situation. Reminding yourself of these truths, right? Yes. I find opportunities to use my gifts and talents every day.
Wonderful.
I mean, why not? So if they go, can I tell them where to get them? You can get your free download. So if you're in the US, you can text on your phone. If you're listening to this on your phone, you can text the number 44222, and what you want to put in is OPMIND, OPPMIND. And then you'll get a little text back that says, give me your email so I know where to send it. So I'm going to do that with you. And then if you're not in the US and you're not texting, then you can just go to christylargent.com and it's /unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
And that will give you the link. I think we'll send you,
we'll get the links with, I will get the links.
And then they'll get to download them. So yeah, and then you just take, you can print them yourself and then cut them, or you can send them to the printers and get them on cardstock or whatever. But now we just cut them up, and I thought this was kind of neat. On the 4th page, there's only 2 pre-printed, and then the other 8 are open for you to fill in what you need to work on, right? What you want to tell yourself to stay in your opportunity mindset.
Great. So give me like an affirmation of sorts, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, that's a beautiful and generous gift.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm happy to share it.
Oh, lovely. Well, and that brings us to the end of a truly powerful interview session. Christy, I'm so honored that you decided to be a part of this. It's been a sheer delight having you on board. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. My pleasure.
Great. And thank you to all our listeners as well for joining us and being a part of this. Hope you got at least as much as I got out of all of this amazing interview with Christy. So thank you for being with us, and we'll just say goodbye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Again.